Well, I did it. I broke down and listened to Ron DeSantis on Real Time with Bill Maher. I've not been listening to Bill Maher lately, said I wasn't going to. Even when he had James Carville on the podcast, I still didn't listen to that entire episode because I had some friends send me a few clips from it. And after hearing just those few clips, I said to myself, that's not something I want to hear. And that's sad because Bill Maher and James Carville used to be political heroes of mine. But if those are the kind of conversations they're having, it'd be like listening to the Allman Brothers do hair metal. I just want no part of it. But I had a cheat day, and I listened to Bill Maher interview Ron DeSantis because so many people kept sending it to me saying, what do you think about this? And the one thing that just leaped off the screen at me immediately, and I'm sure it did you too, is when Bill Maher praised Ron DeSantis for how he handled the pandemic. That has got to be one of the craziest discussions I've ever heard in my life. That would be like if you had Ted Bundy on your show and you said, Ted, we just want to thank you for everything you did for women. Or if you had Charles Manson on and said, Charlie, we just want to thank you for everything you ever did for families. It was totally ridiculous, but it really wasn't unexpected. I would expect nothing less from Bill Maher these days. But the one thing that I want to talk about more than anything is when Bill Maher asks Ron DeSantis if he thought Trump lost. DeSantis said yes. He said, then why did you continue to back and campaign for these election deniers? And DeSantis came right out with it and said, because I wanted Republicans to win. Now, of course, they shifted real quick back to 2016 and blame it on Democrats and saying, well, Democrats believe the 2016 election was stolen, so it's okay. But I really wish that Bill Maher had have held Ron DeSantis' feet to the fire on that point just for a minute, because DeSantis admitted that Trump lost, he knew better, but he continued to back election deniers anyway because he wanted the Republican Party to win. And what needed to be said right there is, so you knew the election was fair, you knew Joe Biden really won, you knew Trump lost, but you backed it anyway because you wanted to take away democracy from people you disagree with. See, that right there is why these days I cannot be an independent. That right there is why I can't be a moderate. That right there is why I can't sit on the fence. To sit on the fence in today's political climate would be like sitting on the fence if the fence was on fire. And over on this side of the fence, you've got some people who may not always get it right, but this time they're bringing some buckets of water and some water hoses to the fence. And meanwhile, over here, you got people coming towards you with cans of gasoline. Are you going to sit there and debate both sides? Are you going to have the both sides argument there? Or are you going to at least be over here with people who have at least reasonable answers? Ron DeSantis was perfectly okay with taking away the votes from Americans he disagreed with, because that act that Ron DeSantis has been doing down in Florida, he wants to bring it to the main stage. He wants that to be the entire country. And while the Trump party would not vote for DeSantis over Trump, let's be realistic here and admit that they still embrace that ideology. That's still what they're for. So let's be realistic for a minute. Ron DeSantis did not care about the 2020 election, and if we're being truthful, he didn't care about 2016 either. Even if the Russians had have swayed that election, he would have been all for it. He would not have cared because he wanted Republicans to win, because he didn't give a damn about democracy. And that's what needed to be said, and that's the point that needed to be brought out. And that's why I just cannot see sitting on the fence these days. That's why I can't have the both sides argument these days. But I did it. I had a cheat day and I listened to Bill Maher. And like with most cheat days, I ended up with a headache and a sick stomach. So there you go.